Oh, there's a Tesla Cybertruck parked in my driveway, as you can see right there. Hello, viewers, and welcome back to McElroy's Motors, the home of the weird, the boring, the projects, and the adventures. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as you can see, my beloved 1997 Saturn SL1 has become more high-tech by becoming invisible. Okay, I'm lying. She is now at a shop in Ravenna, Ohio. And I'm in a bit of a real pickle.
So am I.
I'm not going to join that army. But it is now time to cue the music. The reason why my Saturn is in the shop is quite simple. I had taken the car down to the state of Missouri to go visit a friend of mine, and during my time there, I happened to notice that my left turn signal wasn't functioning as well as it should have. It would blink maybe once or twice, and then just stop flashing entirely. So I took the car back to Ohio after spending about a week in Missouri, and they were able to find out that the multifunction switch in the car was starting to go bad. So that meant the switch that controls both the turn signals and the wiper blades was starting to go bad, despite me replacing the wiper transmission in the car and getting the wipers to work absolutely perfectly. So that's how the car thanks me. But that's where the trouble starts, because taking the old part out required removal of the airbag, and they did so just fine. And when they put the airbag back in and then put the new switch in place, and then they put the steering wheel back in place, that's when the steering column decided to collapse in on itself, which is not very good news. But that brings me on to the pickle that I'm in, because at one hand, I do have the money to get the steering column replaced, but at the same time, is this where I draw the line? Because on one hand, that car has never left me stranded until now, and secondly, I have such great memories with that car driving 2,800 miles on that November road trip that we did a few months ago. For those who have not seen my videos documenting that entire road trip, or at least as best as we could, here is a brief summary. The car went through Ohio, Pennsylvania, crossed into New Jersey, crossed back into Pennsylvania. It went through Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Tennessee, crossed into North Carolina, crossed back into Tennessee, went through Georgia, Alabama, back through Tennessee, through Kentucky, and back to Ohio again, covering, like I said, 2,800 miles, 300 miles more than I had originally planned the road trip on being. And that was with 4 people, all the luggage, all the souvenirs, and what's even crazier, it had a 40-gallon tote strapped to the car's roof. It was very fun, we had a great time, and it was something I will truly never forget. Now make no mistake, we had a wonderful time on this road trip, but by the time we got back to Ohio, it was so jam-packed into that car to the point we had no space for anything else. The tote was filled, the trunk was pretty much filled to the point of exploding, and the back seat was about as roomy as a gulag cell filled with prisoners. It was unpleasant towards the end, but we made it work. But the reason why I am suggesting I'm in a bit of a pickle here is because I know that Anthony and Alicia, who went with me on this road trip, they are desperately needing a car, and they had agreed to buy Sadie from me for $2,000. And that is a good price for what they get, because for one thing, they won't have to worry about emissions testing because the car's over 25 years old. 2, the car's got relatively low mileage for its age. And 3, the car's got the famous dent-resistant body panels that Saturn was so well known for. But on the other hand, I really want to keep that car as much as I can because that car has been such a good car to me. I've covered, like I said, 36,000 miles in that car since I owned it, and it has been truly fantastic. This is the first time the car has ever left me stranded during all those miles of being on America's roads. And bear in mind, going through all those states during that road trip, that's only the stint of it, because I took that car through Indiana, I took it through Michigan, I've been through New York City in that car, I went to Mississippi, Arkansas, and so many other places, to the point I feel like that car has plenty of life left in it, despite this steering column mishap. So yeah, that basically describes this overall pickle that I'm in, because on one hand, if I sell the car to Anthony and Alicia, they should look after it, because they know the car needs oil changes every 3,000 miles, they know the basic needs of a car, and so on and so forth, so therefore they'll have a decent car to get them by until they A, get something else, or B, decide to keep it long term. But on the other hand, I want to keep the Saturn on the road as much as possible because it has been such a great car to own. It has been fun to drive, it's been cheap to fill up, it's been cheap to insure, and so many other things, to the point where getting rid of it will definitely disappoint either my audience or B, Anthony and Alicia themselves. But at the same time, I know for $4,000 I can get myself a bigger, more practical car, and that'll be beneficial for road trips. But at the same time, that Saturn has a lot of character, and I have developed a special bond with that car to the point where I just don't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon unless I absolutely have to. But wait, there's more! During my time in the Show Me state of Missouri, I actually drove out of Missouri across Arkansas into Tennessee, where I went to go visit my old faithful, by which I mean I went to go see my old 1984 Trabant 601S that I had at the start of my YouTube career. The owner, Will Tucker, has done leaps and bounds for a nice, thorough restoration on that car, and it looks absolutely stunning. I give my hats off to him, and in fact, if you want to see more of his content, check his channel out by clicking the link down in the description. Will Tucker has gone leaps and bounds because now the car has new upholstery, it's got a new steering wheel in it, and the car looks and sounds so much better than it ever has in my possession, despite me importing the car to the United States back in 2018. So I am just blown away by how good that car looks, because it just brings such great memories every time I see it. And Will, if you're watching this, thank you so much for looking after it, because it has not been an easy feat to sell that car back in 2024, but by golly, I've always liked those cars, and I would do anything to own another. But that brings me on to another pickle that I'm in, because on one hand, I know if Will Tucker sells that car, it's going to go to no one else but me, because he knows the story about my car. He knows I sold it once already because of my mother's drug relapse, and he knows I sold it again after promising myself and to you guys that I would never sell it again. So as such, he knows that car, and he actually refers to it as Nick's Chobby every time he takes it out to Cars and Coffee. So it really means a lot to me knowing that he knows the story, and he would do anything he can to make sure nothing happens to it. But at the same time, do I make a deposit on my yellow car and get it back whenever Will's ready to sell it again? Or do I actually buy another one off my German friend Martin Heinz of IFA Service Heinz, located in Harthausen, Germany? So I'm just like, what do I do now? I mean, it's just like, oh, I want that yellow thing so bad because it has that personal history to me. Or do I actually buy one that has everything on it sorted from Martin, who knows these cars better than anybody else currently living? You guys may have seen in the title card to this video that we are planning, or starting to make plans, for a gargantuan road trip. By far and away the craziest, most extreme, the farthest road trip that we had ever done. Whether we take my old Saturn on this road trip or we take another car is still undecided, but here's just a brief plan, because we just have basic plans for this road trip of what we have so far. If I have more plans for this road trip, I'll definitely let you guys know, but this is the brief overall plan. But at the same time, I also wanted to give you guys a bit of a backstory before I show you guys these plans, because I want you guys to understand that we had a bit of a flaw when it came to taking that old Saturn with a tote on its roof 2,800 miles. And the major flaw we had was the lack of space inside. So to combat this, we're going to do something that we have never done before. Instead of putting one tote on the roof, we're going to put 3. And I'm going to put some big totes on the roof. So one tote would be for 2 passengers' luggage. One tote would be for 2 more passengers' luggage. And the third and final tote would be for automotive fluids, therefore making as much space inside the trunk as humanly possible. Now, another thing I would like to share with you guys is, instead of leaving one day before the Trabant Parade at the International Spy Museum, we're leaving 2 days before. And the reason why we're doing that is because on the first day of the road trip back in November, we drove out of Ohio, through Pennsylvania, through New Jersey, back through Pennsylvania, through Maryland, through the District of Columbia, through Virginia, into our overnight halts in both Arlington and Alexandria, Virginia, collectively. So with that in the way, we were on the road for 17 hours at that point, and my friend Jason was so tired to wake up for the Trabant Parade to the point he had to join us later. So unfortunately, it was not exactly good for him to wake up super early, especially being awake for going on 32 hours. He worked 8-hour shift, stayed awake for another 4 hours, and then drove with us for another 17, and he couldn't get enough sleep the night before, so it was pretty crazy for him. So I'm trying to eliminate the fact that we had very little space inside the car, as well as any other problems that we had with the trip itinerary. So with that out of the way, I would like to share with you guys the brief overall plan here. On day 1 of the road trip, which will be a Thursday and not a Friday, it'll be a Thursday, we're going to drive from here in the rubber city of Akron, Ohio, and drive 350 miles east back to Scranton, Pennsylvania. Don't get me wrong, I've been to Scranton, I love Scranton, but at the same time, I didn't catch any of Scranton on film, or at least I did, but I had issues after I tried uploading part 3 of the road trip onto YouTube. So I want to get as much footage of Scranton and the nearby ghost town of Centralia on film as much as possible. After we check into our hotel in Scranton, we'll be leaving the first thing the next morning by hopping over to New York City so Alicia and Anthony could check that out, because they were supposed to go with me to New York City when Jason and I went, but they couldn't because they had to work. And then after we leave New York City, we'll be heading back southwest into Washington, D.C. We'll be staying a few days there, so therefore I can attend the Trabant Parade for that year, and therefore Alicia has a chance of seeing D.C. as a whole, because when we went to D.C. back in 2025, we had a government shutdown on our hands, and that kind of limited what we could and could not see. We couldn't see all the museums, for instance. We could not see very many gift shops, for instance. But at the same time, we were also able to see all the monuments. So I want to see Alicia's face when she sees more museums, more stuff that she had not seen beforehand. Bear in mind, when she went to D.C. with us, it was her first time in our nation's capital. After we spent a few days in D.C., we will be driving all the way down south to the Palmetto State of South Carolina, so I can spend a few days with my friend Joseph Signet. And I'm sure Jason would like to see him again, as well as Anthony and Alicia, so therefore we will spend time with him as well. We'll get to spend time at Myrtle Beach. I would like to take them to Sparky's, that gigantic fireworks store that Joseph took me to. And then after we leave South Carolina, we'll be making our way through my home state of Georgia, which I'm hoping we can stop by Dalton, Georgia for lunch, and then we'll be making our way further south into the Sunshine State of Florida. And we will be staying our first night in Florida in Jacksonville, and then we'll be making our way to the historic community known as St. Augustine, which is also the oldest city in the country, dating back to 1565. And then we'll be making our way further south into Key West, where we'll be staying for another couple of days before making our way back up to northern Florida, and then making our way further west, with our final destination being either San Diego or San Francisco, before making our way back to Ohio again. So it's going to be quite a commendable journey, and I am super excited for this. Another thing I would like to bring up with this road trip is the fact that I would like to make this a fundraiser as possible. So we're thinking about maybe starting a fundraiser for autism awareness, maybe some cerebral palsy awareness, perhaps Alzheimer's, or maybe even to help my friend who drove a Trabant cross country to raise awareness for a girl that he knew who has epidermolysis bullosa, or butterfly syndrome. So if I could help him raise money for that child, I would definitely be honored to. In fact, if he ever wants me to do that, feel free to get in contact with me. But at the same time, we want to start like a fundraiser of our own. So we want to do something along those lines. But like I said, the Saturn, or whatever car we take, is going to look even more crazy than when we took it on that 2,800 mile road trip that we did back in November. We're going to have 3 totes on the roof, and if we take the Saturn, the car itself is going to be over 3 meters or 10 feet tall. So just picture a little Saturn being taller in height than an older Mini Cooper is in length. So it's going to be insane. But either way, I am super excited for this. And like I said, that is just a basic plan, and the more we make plans of this road trip, we will definitely let you guys know sometime in the future. So in the meantime, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up for me, and subscribe to McElroy's Motors, and I'll have more videos coming along soon. Take care, everybody.